Now, here is where the story gets genuinely uncomfortable for the American steel executives who spent 2025 popping champagne over tariff protection. Cleveland-Cliffs, the company run by the famously combative Lourenco Goncalves, made a massive headline-grabbing bet in 2024 when it acquired the Canadian steelmaker Stelco for roughly $2.5 billion. The logic at the time seemed straightforward enough. Integrate Canadian production capacity into an American steel giant, ride the wave of continental steel demand, and build what Goncalves like to call Fortress North America, a closed-loop steel ecosystem immune to Asian and European competition. Instead, that acquisition became a liability almost overnight. Stelco sales were hit hard by the very 50% U.S. tariff applied specifically to steel shipped out of Canada, a tariff that, ironically, was designed to protect American steelmakers, not punish the Canadian subsidiary, one of them now owned outright. Goncalves has since gone public, asking the Canadian government to erect higher walls of its own, essentially begging Ottawa to protect his newly acquired Canadian mill with the same kind of defenses Washington was already deploying against everyone else. That's the trap. That's the trap. Cleveland-Cliffs bought a Canadian steelmaker to dominate the Canada-US corridor, and then US tariff policy turned that very asset into dead weight almost as soon as the ink dried. While Canada's retaliatory architecture started rerouting steel demand inward and towards CUSMA partners on Canada's own terms, not Washington's. The company's first quarter 2026 results reflected exactly that kind of structural pain. Full-year revenue for 2025 had already dropped roughly 3% to $18.66 billion, and Goncalves was forced onto an earnings call promising sequential improvement quarter by quarter, citing energy costs and pricing lags as the primary headwinds. Language that translated out of corporate spin simply means the company's flagship Canadian acquisition was bleeding money in plain sight. The market did not wait patiently for management's reassurances. Through the first half of 2026, every signal out of Washington about tariff policy sent steel stocks lurching sharply in one direction or the other, and increasingly, the lurches were downward. In February 2026, when reports surfaced that Trump was considering rolling back the steel and aluminum tariffs to ease consumer price pressure ahead of the midterms, shares of Nucor, Cleveland-Cliffs, and Alcoa all fell together in a single trading session, with steel and aluminum names trading down 5 to 6% intraday as investors began pricing in the return of foreign competition and the sudden erosion of the pricing cushion they'd enjoyed for months. Cleveland-Cliffs took a separate, even sharper hit just days earlier when it missed fourth quarter revenue expectations by nearly $300 million, and then watched its own CEO sell 3 million shares worth more than $37 million almost immediately afterward. A sequence of events that sent the stock down nearly 17% in a single trading session.
At all. All right, now test 3, and that's the pressure test, because while premiers were still packing up from Charlottetown, Washington quietly added another tariff that had almost nothing to do with the trade fight everyone was already watching.
Replaces what are called IEEPA tariffs, if you follow that, the 128 tariffs, and there's different justification, et cetera. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's not unexpected what's happening there, okay? It's part of the bigger.
On July 24th, the U.S. Trade Representative's office hit Canada, along with roughly 60 other countries, with a new 10% tariff, justified by an entirely different accusation than the one making headlines earlier the same month: forced labor in global supply chains.
Hello everyone. Finally, the Canada is preparing for the trade war with the America and the Trump. Basically, this trade war is not with the Americans, it is only with the Trump. Trump is annoyingly and doing the restriction on the Canada and the Canadian people. Now Canadian people are looking very aggressively. They are not looking just angry, they are giving the reaction. They are putting the pressure on the Mark Carney that he should give the response to the Trump. Why every time Trump, without any thinking, put a tariff on the Canadian? Canadian think we always help the America in the trouble because we are neighbor, we are friend. But Trump always put a unnecessary burden on the Canadian. Now the pressure is building on the Mark Carney. What will Mark Carney will do? we know that election are coming and the pressure on building on the Mark Carney. That's why I think he will this time take the action, and he cannot face the pressure that he is coming up from the Canadian side. I think this time he will put a slide. Not, I think he will not put a bit of large tariff like 50% tariff will put by the Trump. I think he will put a bit tariff on the steel and the oil and the electricity. We know that crude oil are dependent. American factories are dependent on the crude oil provided by the Canada. That's why I think Mark Carney put a lot, not a lot of, but a bit small tariff to protect his honor, to protect the Canadian honor, and to decrease the pressure that is Canadian people are giving the reaction. That's why. But it's my opinion that instead of the trade war, everyone raise the voice against the Trump. Everyone should put a raise on the Trump tariff. What is being annoyingly so that it's you are not putting a tariff. You are destroying the poor people. You should not think about the you should not think about the country. You should think about every poor people, no matter it is in the world, because he is also human. We should care about every human, no matter what is his country. Everyone give your opinion in the comment section. Hope like you like my video. We will meet in the next video.